All right, in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you how to utilize the sales team projections sheet. Last year, a nine-figure company reached out to me and I customized a lot of data for them. And one of them was being able to keep their sales team accountable to their projections, as well as how to effectively keep track of all the follow-ups that they have. And so what this sheet does is it keeps everybody on the same page. And it keeps us like a team mentality of understanding how many closes and how many cash and revenue we need to drive, as well as it eliminates guesswork, right? Instead of a closer or a setter saying like, well, I think we'll be able to project about 2 or 3 closes. Those are good, but are there anything actually backing that up? And the way we back it up is by the conversations that you've had, follow-ups, and we never lose on follow-up because we keep a very good clear track of it. And I'm going to be sharing with you how this sheet works, as well as if you've ever been lost on how to conduct a meeting, as well as how to hit projections and goals, right? This is going to help you with that. And so if the goal is, let's say, to hit $50,000 in a week, in a month, and so this is based on 4-4-5. So every quarter, it's the first month is 4 weeks, then the second month is 4 weeks, and the third month is 5 weeks. And so when you do a 4-4-5, it keeps everything pretty simple because some people have confusions as to which week counts as the next month or is it this month. And so when you just have a 4-4-5 metric, everything is just very, very simple. And then, right, we can kind of estimate how many closes we need to make. Let's say it's a 5K program, 2 closes per week at 5K each is 50 grand in revenue. And so the way this works is when you first conduct a sales team meeting, right, you would just go rep by rep saying like, okay, cool, what's your goal for this? Oh, in the beginning of the month, right, we just kind of guesstimate the goal. So let's say they're saying, okay, I can probably bring in one here, one here, one here, one here, and nothing on this week because I'm going to be taking off. It automatically distributes as to kind of where the company's goals are and the closers are projecting. So let's say the next rep is projecting another 1-1-1, and then we're missing one. So it's like, okay, cool. So like who's going to push to get the extra 3, right? So we're able to kind of project it that way here. And then as you are conducting the meeting on a daily basis, you're able to kind of say, okay, how many closes did you get? Okay, so still at 0, got it. Okay, and what kind of help do you need? And then whatever help they need, right, you would put that in the notes section here. Right, and everything is kind of already put in where you're able to implement. So if they need call reviews or if they need to work on better setting procedures or call confirmations, whatever the case may be, you can kind of put the notes in here and hold them accountable to that. And you can see that it's locked so that only sales manager and above has authority to edit these sessions. And all you have to do is just go here, protect sheet, and you would type in their emails so that you can make sure you delegate to who can only edit that sheet. And so from here, basically whatever the closer puts in. So let's say, I have a consultation today. So I would go today's date. And the name is John Locke. Time at 3 p.m. CRM link, whatever your respective CRM link is here. And then booking source, you would kind of put in whether it's a paid ad, organic, if you are tracking that within Slack, because if you have it optimized within Slack, you can kind of see where they came from, or if it's from a setter, right, you put in a particular setter, and then the outcome. So the setter, I'm going to show you the setter process as well. The setter sends a call confirmation. And so this really depends. So what I've seen works is the setter, as soon as they book a call, they send the call confirmation, and then it's a handoff process to the closer. And when the prospect responds like, hey, Yoon, great talking to you. I'm looking forward to talking to, George, the closer. Then it's like, okay, now the George closer is going to send confirmation. Hey, John, looking forward to talking to you and getting to learn more about your business. Let me know if you're able to press yes to the Zoom invitation, just so we can solidify everything. And they say yes. It's like, cool, confirmed, right? And then if they no-show, right, there's no-show, rescheduled, it's rescheduled. If they say, no, I don't like you, you're ugly, it's lost. And so like if they say no response, or let's say you talk to them and they are kind of like on the fence and they're like, okay, let me just kind of move my money around and can we kind of catch back up this Friday? It's like, cool, that's projected close within 10 days. So we put that projection here. And then if you wanted to put in any nurture contents, it's like, cool, I would establish what this looks like for you and your business, just so we can have set things at each intervals. And so we would send a custom video. It's like, cool, okay, let's meet up at 3 p.m. same time on Friday. Works for you? Works for me. Perfect. And then you could put your CRM notes here. And then the same notes that you would put here, you could put in the HubSpot. And then from here, what will happen is you can see the overall company targets gets updated. And so as a sales manager, you're able to see how many are being projected by your team, right? So as a closer is having more and more of these conversations, you're able to have a good understanding as to how much the team is projecting on something to be closed or to not be closed, right? And so when you go here, you can kind of see, okay, Rep George is projecting 3 to 1, 3 closes within 10 days, 2 closes within 30, 1 close over 30. And so, depending on your offer, whether it's a B2C or B2B, these metrics are going to vary. Some people might want, within 7 days or within 14 days. I've generally just found 10, 30, and over 30 to be more effective because you never want too many of these because then it just gets too hairy. And so, yeah, this is a very good projections as to, okay, are we on track to be able to hit our targets or are we not on track? Because sometimes what you do as a sales manager is when you ask them, cool, like, hey, how many are you projecting? And they'll say like 2 or 3. And, how often do you see them actually hitting their projections? The only way they can actually hit projections properly is when they also understand what's within their own pipeline. Because if we don't keep track of prospects like this, then they forget that they talk to John Locke, and it's been a while since I talked to John Locke because they're already so focused on the reps here, right? Or depending on the volume by the end of the week, maybe you've already talked to like 30 different people. You're not even like close to thinking about John Locke, right? And then what you would do here is you would just categorize it by alphabetical or by how many people that are projected to close, and then you can just kind of see that data as well as a sales manager. You're able to see that data here as well, which then helps you understand exactly kind of where the team is standing. Okay, and then from here, the next thing that I'm going to show, and then you would just have that for all the reps. And they would update as you're kind of having a meeting with them on a daily basis. Like if they close, it's like, cool, they close. Revenue is 5 grand, and then the cash collected is 2.5 here. And then everything is going to update up at the top. And so you can kind of see if you guys are on track or off track, depending on which week you're at. And then on the setting side of things, so we don't have that for the setters here. It's totally optional. You definitely could create a setter section. We just found that, depending on how many setters you have, it's better to have this set of data. So for example, let's say this came from the setter, right? John Locke. I initially talked to them on the 25th. The consult is going to be the 26th. It's going to be John Locke at 3 p.m. And the HubSpot link is here. It's going to be with closer 1 and an outcome. So to begin, it's important that I understand when the initial chat is, right? And from the setter's perspective, you're able to keep track at the end of the day as you're filling this out throughout the day. At the end of the day, you're able to keep track of how many people you booked calls for that day and exactly who it is. Because it gets confusing depending on how much volume you have. If you're just using like a tracking sheet, standard tracking sheet like this, it's like then you say, okay, maybe it's like 5 or whatever. But this will help you easily see how many people you booked calls on that particular day, or how many calls that you have for this particular day that's coming up, and you're able to check back in to ensure that the prospects actually showed up, they've taken the calls, as well as you understand exactly where the prospects are at, because the closer is filling it out on their end as well. So it helps on many, many fronts. And then from a sales manager's perspective, in terms of accountability, because usually the ecosystem looks like this, right? There's a sales tracker. The only thing about a sales tracker here is, let's say if as a salesperson myself, if I'm a little bit embarrassed, I can go in and fudge my numbers because I know that you're not like accurately keeping track of these on a daily basis, right? And so the one of the flaws of a sales tracker is that it can be fudged. And so the way you protect it, the integrity of the sales tracker, is also backing it up with the end of the day report, right? So if you have Slack, you're able to put in, okay, how many booked calls you did today, as well as what the conversion metrics look like. But those are all numbers, and those can also be edited. But the thing that's harder to edit is when you have more, when you have these triangle, the 3 things within the ecosystem, you can see the name to the number. So if, for example, I go here and it says, okay, consult booked is 5, and I go to that date, and I can just put it by the filter here, and I can go to that date. If I don't see 5, then I know something's wrong. Or if I see 10, and then it's 5 here, and then I find out that the other 5 actually no-showed, and the setter just didn't want to put in no-show because that would hurt their KPI, then I know, okay, like this guy is fudging his numbers. So the more layers of accountability that we have, the less likely people are able to fudge the numbers. Especially something like this is checked on a daily basis. Even though it's not perfect, this can be altered to a degree. But when the sales manager is checking this on a daily basis, or if you have a VA to kind of accurately reflect, okay, so from here there was five people who booked today, and I go to the end of the day report, there's 5. I go to the sales tracker, there's 5. Cool. I know there's a valid 5 for that day, and I can put it throughout the report. And so this is just like a very important thing for accuracy's sake. And then from here, I send out the initial confirmation text, and then once they reply, then it's closer pending. Right? Now it's up to the closer to have that conversation and make a decision. And then let's say the closer makes a decision, it's projected to close within 10 days. Then I'll say, great, it's projected to close, and I'm just waiting. Now, if they no-show, or if they need to reschedule, it's still on my responsibility. Or if it's lost, or if they have no response, right, it's still on the setter's responsibility. If they close, or if the closer does initiate, hey, closer projected to close 10 days, then I know, okay, now it's the closer's responsibility. Right? Because there's a clear line of decision, and we know that the setter is not going to behind the scenes talk to the prospect and then like try to muddy the waters, right? Because we've seen that happen, and then sometimes the closer gets upset. It's like, setter, dude, just leave it to me. So like stuff like this keeps everybody kind of like on the same page. Now, let's say, I'm talking to this person and this person is just not ready at this moment. I can kind of turn it back to the setter on the closer side of things. And then the setter understands, okay, there is some potential here, and it's going to be up to me to nurture, and then I can have nurture content here. But similar to what you saw, let's say it's something that I'm projecting to close, let's say it's going to take a little bit longer, then I have no problem as a closer to work my pipeline and send nurture content here. And so that's kind of the overall all-arching thing. And then as a setter, right, you will put the notes here of your conversation, of the setter's conversation here. That's going to be different from the conversation from the closer. But at the end of the day, what this does is if you conduct this properly on a daily basis with the setters as well as with the closers, it keeps everybody on track, accountable. Everybody's on the same page as to what they're projecting, what the company needs to be able to do on a monthly basis. And if we are on track, or if we're not on track, to be able to hit that, which also, depending on which tracker you're utilizing, you'll probably be able to project that as well. Depending on how much charts and data that you have. So hope this helped. I put the downloadable link to a copy of this below, and crush it. Peace.